Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, My Life with Tourettes, with your host Kevin. So, I want to go over where it all began. So, I started, I got diagnosed with Tourette's when I was 8 years old. So, the reason my mom and dad kind of caught on that something was wrong is I was jerking my head, I was making these body movements, rolling my eyes, blinking my eyes. All the basic things you hear about aside from the cursing, that's what I was doing. If anybody, people out there listening know anything about Tourette's, like the basic, you twitching your head, twitching your body, rolling your eyes, blinking your eyes, making noises with my mouth. So it was little tidbit things like that was kind of happening. And then they progressively got worse and worse. My mom, I played soccer growing up, and my mom, she said the best way I could describe it to me, because I asked her one day about it, how you knew, or what made you think, like what made you make me get checked out. She said the best way she described it was I looked like a bobblehead running down the field because I was moving my head that much, and so we go to the doctor, get diagnosed. He sends us to a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist does a bunch of stuff, and long story short, end up getting diagnosed with Tourette's. So, as far as them early years of having it, I don't really remember a whole lot. I do know, you know, is what I do know is that like when I got diagnosed, it was early to mid 90s. And back then, it wasn't at all like it is now. Like now you got Facebook pages, you got Facebook groups, you got, YouTube, you could go look up and watch videos about it. You got Google where you can go read all kinds of stuff about it. But you didn't have all that back then. All you really had was going to the doctor, going off of what the doctor said, because it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't as popular and publicized as it is now. And I don't I don't want to say I wish it was, but at the same time I do, because my mom and dad would have had better help, because like I can only imagine for them, early 90s, you've never heard of this before, your son gets diagnosed with it. Well, now you're having to, you know, try to learn everything you can just off of what the doctors are saying, because that's what my mom was telling me, because me and her talk a lot about it here and there, and it's like, that's what she told me. She was like, we just went off of what the doctors told us because there was really nothing else we could do. So, I got diagnosed. Then, as, life went on, I started, well, backtrack. I started taking medicine for it. And what was crazy is I was taking like a lot of medicine, and just starting out, like 8 years old, I was taking medicine to where it was like 5 or 6 pills in the morning, 3 or 4 pills during the lunch, 5 or 6 pills at night. And what's crazy about that, because I mean, that's all they were going off of. The doctor said, look, take these medicines, it's going to help. But what's crazy about that, out of all the medicine that I took, it never fully made it go away. Like now I'm on medication, and it helps way more than, most of the medicines I took back then. But it's also self control. I've learned over the years how to be able to like contain it, how to be able to calm it down on top of the medicine. So, being able to self control and the medication, it's really made a big help. But back then, I really didn't know. I really didn't know how to do none of that, because I mean, I'm a little kid. I don't know how to control it. You just let it happen. So, you know, back then, 90s, they're going off the doctors. They're going off these medicines. The medicine still ain't fully helping. So, you know, I imagine to them it could be kind of frustrating, maybe, Because, like, you want your kid to be healthy and happy. And I'm not saying I wasn't healthy because I had Tourette's, but, like, you know, never seeing this before. Now you got a kid that has it. It's almost like, well, what the hell do we do now? So, move on, get into junior high is when I really started to be able to, I wouldn't say notice it because, I always noticed it. I had it. But, like, it really started playing a part in my mind to where, you know, I would know, like, I would be thinking about it more. Because in school, I'm trying to focus, I'm trying to pay attention in class, and I'm having to hold my head still because I can't stop moving. My hands are all over the place, making these noises, rolling my eyes, and all this. And, to try to focus and learn and all that stuff that comes with school is just, I found at times it made it kind of hard because you want to be able to concentrate. But with this, it just made it like so hard. And, luckily back then, for me at least, I never really had to worry about the whole bullying thing. I would get questioned, I would get stares or whatever. But, like, to my face, nobody ever bullied me. So I'm really thankful for that as a kid. Compared to now, now kids get bullied for the littlest thing. So I can only imagine, like, having Tourette's as a young child now. It must be miserable, and maybe kids are like me now, they don't get bullied. But so, you know, junior high, really start noticing it. I really start, in my mind, noticing more and more I got to learn how to control these things, and then goes into my teen years. And now, on top of having Tourette's, I'm starting to dress crazy. I'm starting to dye my hair crazy colors. I'm starting to do all these wild things. And it's really funny because, like, so with the Tourette's, you already kind of stick out, and I'm not saying in a bad way or any kind of way in general, but you already sticking out because you're over here twitching your head, you're over here rolling, doing all these ticks. And now I got vibrant colored hair. I got clothes that are all wild. So it's like a double whammy. It's like, hey, look at me. And then, hey, look at me. I have Tourette's as well, So I always found that to be kind of funny. Like, looking back now, it's like, here I am sticking out like a sore thumb, and then I can't stop moving. So now I'm getting stared at for two different things, So teen years, it was more of a, I found like it got real aggressive. Like, it started out aggressive, kind of stayed that way, and then it got more aggressive in my teen years. But, I want to go back to the medicine. I remember as a kid, like I said, taking on that medication. As a teen, taking on this medicine. And I think one thing that, like, really bothered me back then was that the medicine wasn't working like I wanted it to. Like, growing up as a kid, you don't want people staring at you. You don't want these kids, well, why you like that? Well, why you doing that? So it's like I wanted the medicine to fully work, but it just never would, and for whatever reason, I don't know. And like I said, now I have the self-control I could do. Back then, I didn't know how to do that. I never really, like, focused in on it. So during class, recess, on the bus, whatever, it was going. But I guess you would say, like, I always, looking back, my, junior high and high school, because I can't really remember too much of when I first couple of years I got diagnosed with it. But, like, what, like, thinking, why can't this medicine work? Like, why isn't this medicine helping? Like, I don't want to be doing this. And, as a kid, there's a lot of things that affect us aside from having this, And then, another thing I want to go over before I end this episode is kind of go back to, when I got diagnosed, is they say it's in your genes, like it's in your genetic, like it gets passed down from the generations or whatever. Well, what's crazy is like we never could find anybody in my family that had it. And I find that crazy because it's like, okay, well, my doctor told me it's in your genes, but like nobody in my family ever had it. So it's like, okay, I'm born this way. Like, is there some kind of chemical imbalance I was born with that, as I got older into childhood, it started to show a little bit? Because, so from what I've always been told from a neurologist over the years, is it's like a misfire within the nervous system or some way or another like that. So, I wanted to cover that as well. Like, I'm diagnosed at 8 years old. And then later in life, we find out, oh, well, it's in your genes is how you get it. It's like, okay, well, where in my genes did it go? Did it come from? And they're like, my mom and dad just can't find nothing. So then it's like, now got me looking back is like, where could this have started? Like, why did this start? So, but that'll be it for this episode. Stay tuned for more.